In this video, I'm going to be replacing my old cable drive trolling motor with a new Minn Kota digital trolling motor. Now this one here, when I say cable drive, I'm talking about the foot pedal, in that as you push the foot pedal up and down, it moves the cable back and forth, which steers the trolling motor. Now the new ones are digitally controlled. They have just a thin wire. The foot pedal is a lot smaller. It's more easier to control. I want to stand back here so you can take a look at this. This is a motor guide, 40-pound thrust. As you can see it there, it's the old style. It's I believe a 2002 model. And I'm going to be replacing it with this Minn Kota, which I'll show you right here. So here's the new Minn Kota power drive. I happened to buy this used off of Facebook Marketplace. It's only a year old. It's a 2019, and the person that bought it just figured that it was a little too small for his boat, so he upgraded to I think he got a 65. And I happened to pick this up for 400 bucks. So I think it's a good deal, and we're going to mount it here shortly. We'll go through it step by step on how to mount it. Alright, first thing you need to do is locate the bolts that are holding your trolling motor down. And you're usually going to have to take off a panel up here on the inside of the boat, which I've already done. There's usually like 6 screws that hold those front panels in. Then you're going to reach your hand under there, and depending on how they fastened it, with wing nuts or lock nuts, whatever, you're going to need a wrench on top and bottom. There's probably 4 screws or 4 bolts, and we're going to have to remove those bolts, and then your trolling motor should lift right off the top of your boat. You have all the nuts off the back side of your trolling motor. Depending on how tight they drilled these holes, you may have to unscrew the bolts from the top side as well. If they drilled the holes for clearance, these bolts should just come right out. We're going to want to make sure that your foot pedal is not plugged into the plug on your boat anymore. Grab your foot pedal on the cable like this, and you're probably going to have to wiggle your trolling motor a little bit. This will come right out. So one of the first things you're going to need to do when you mount your new trolling motor is you're probably going to have to take off some sort of side panels or top panels, like this one here, swing it out of the way, or the other side actually comes totally off, and that's going to reveal some mounting holes. You're going to need the covers off to get to the mounting holes so that we can locate those on your boat. We'll use like a Sharpie marker and just stick the Sharpie down in the holes. We'll locate the drill locations. But before you do any of that, you need to make sure that you can deploy the trolling motor and stow it without hitting anything. Typically, when the trolling motor is deployed, you want this shaft at least 1.5 inches away from the edge of the boat. So if you've got an extra hand or extra buddy, a neighbor, have them come over and just kind of hold the trolling motor here on the back side while you put it down, and then you can locate a little bit better that way. Once this is deployed and down, it's really kind of top heavy. It's kind of hard for one person to locate. But that's kind of the general dimension from the edge of this shaft to the boat, 1.5 inches away. And once you have that location, go ahead and store it in that position. And then you want to make sure that the edge of the head of the trolling motor right here is not sticking over the edge of the boat. Because if you come up close to a dock, you don't want the dock or the dock poles to hit the edge of your trolling motor. So you want this to be about 1 inch inside of the edge of your boat, 1.5 inches on the shaft to the edge of your boat. Those are kind of some critical dimensions you just need to know. So once you have your trolling motor in the exact position you want it, you can take a Sharpie marker, just stick it down inside the mounting holes you're going to use, and just kind of spin it around, and it will leave a nice black dot for you to locate your drill bit to drill the holes. I generally tend to use 5/16 bolts or 3/8 bolts. I don't use 1/4 inch. I think 1/4 inch is a hair too small. And I generally use as many mounting holes that's available. I like to have 6 bolts in a trolling motor when I mount it. If for some reason there's not a hole where you'd like to have one, you can easily drill a hole right here. You've got like a 2.5 inch gap between these two mounting holes. And let's say that there's something under here that you can't drill here or here. Go ahead and drill through to make another mounting location if you need to. Go ahead and mark all this with your Sharpie, and then you're going to go ahead and pull your trolling motor off, and then we're going to drill the holes. Now here's a little tip for you. I've mounted quite a few trolling motors over the years, and I think this is a great tip. I usually drill first the back 2 holes, this one and on the opposite side. Then I stick the bolt through that I'm going to use. Like, see how this one here is already in the hole? Now I don't actually have it fastened down yet, but I also have one here on this side. Now what you can do, you can tighten these up kind of like finger tight on the back side, and then you can use the holes that are already in the mounting plate as kind of a guide to drill your holes. And now if you do it that way, you know you're not going to drill a hole off at all, or maybe your Sharpie didn't go all the way through and you're missing a mark. That's just kind of an easy, fail-proof way to drill your holes out and know that they're in line with the mounting plate. And once you have your trolling motor all mounted, before you put your covers on and do the wiring and everything else, just double check and deploy it that it doesn't hit anything. Looks like this one's clear, and I'm going to show you over here what I'm talking about the clearance of the 1.5 inches. This is what I'm talking about. The standard kind of measurement is this side of your trolling motor shaft to the edge of your boat should be at least 1.5 inches away. So if you're good there, go ahead and put your covers back on, and we'll go on to the next step. So once you got your trolling motor mounted, it's going to depend on what kind of plug it came with versus what kind of plug was in your boat. Mine has 2 different plugs, so I have to splice a plug together. Now if you have to splice wires, I got a good splice kit for you. I'll bring the camera in up close so you can see what it looks like. So here's the splice kit. This is actually rated for underground, and it's also waterproof. It's a very strong splice. It's way better than those butt splices that come with your connectors. I'll show you how to put it together, but here is the finished product. As you can see, it comes with the heat shrink, and it seals right around the wire. You don't have to worry about any moisture or anything getting in that connection. So I have these ends here ready to go. You're going to strip back about 3/8 to 1/2 inch, and I'll show you how to put this together. You're going to want to put your brass splice on one end. It doesn't really matter which one. And then you're going to want to slide your heat shrink over whichever end you want. Doesn't matter. But you need to put the heat shrink on before you connect your wire together. Make sure you twist your ends good. You can back the screw out a little bit to get your wire to go in. And then you just screw this down nice and tight. Get this side here too. And then you're going to slide your heat shrink over your brass fitting, get it kind of in the center, and then we're going to heat it up and shrink it down. Once you have that all shrunk down, you can see it's a waterproof splice. This is never going to come apart. Now the only thing left to do is plug it in, make sure the trolling motor works. Alright, once your splices are all done, or if you didn't need to splice and you got it hooked up to your battery, make sure the propeller is not going to hit anything. Put your foot control in low position, or like number 1, and hit the pedal. Let's see what we got. So it looks like it's all done. Hopefully this video was informative and helpful to you, and I thank you for watching.